Right, first of all, can you start by telling us your name and your job?
Right, name's Nick Norfolk. Present occupation is assistant millwright, assisting Richard Seagown. The job at the moment is painting St Benet's level drainage mill, just the sails and the cats, fantail assembly, and the black rendered section on the top there that was added. I don't know the exact date. Again, that's on the back of the door there somewhere.
But how long ago was it any other work was done to this mill?
The last work was 96, 97 when Richard completely rebuilt the cap, took the sails off, etc. Took the cap away, rebuilt it, came back with a crane, put the cap off, and stopped the sails back on the original ones that were here previous. That wouldn't be the original sails. So it was 96, 97 that was last. Any major works were last done to it, as far as I know.
And when you've done the painting work, how long will it be before it will need doing again?
Well, Richard's got it in his mind that the state of the sails, it'll be 5 years. It'll need new sails and new handrails around the gallery because they're starting to rot in places.
Which bits do you actually call the sails?
The sails, the actual lattice work sections with the bays. We call them bays. There should be the shutters should be in.
Yeah.
2 bays, 2 shutters per bay. Should be in the striking gear. You can just see the striking rod sticking out the front of the canister at the top there. And that's what would then operate the slide gear and the bell arms.
So they
then open and close the shutters, like Venetian blinds at the strange work.
If the shutters were put on, it would work, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, there's nothing to stop it from working now. The fantail was unchained. A strong enough breeze, it would still go round now. Without any sail, any sail slats on it, that's that.
And it's only ever been used for pumping water?
That's all, yeah. It's done with a turbine and not a scoop wheel. A lot of them were scoop wheels, but this was done using a turbine. It's literally just like an inverse propeller. And it just lifts the water. I think it's a 12-foot well dug in there, with the turbine sitting at the bottom. So then it would rotate the propeller and pull the water upwards, and then it would escape into the river. The original turbine was still used when they did it. They converted this to steam power originally. There was a big shed stood one side or the other, that's on the pictures. And I think they converted it to steam, so this became redundant. That would be late 1890s, 1910, 1920, somewhere around about there. So they used the original turbine and the same drive gear, because there was a big horizontal drive shaft came directly through the wall.
Yeah.
And they would have driven the turbine, and all they did was they drove it by steam. And I think it's 1950s or 60s. I think they converted it to electrics, hence all the electric control gear inside. And they replaced the turbine with a modern one, but it's still basically a turbine pump.
And we know that in the past a family lived in a cottage, which you said is just between the trees down there.
As far as I believe, yeah.
And we've got records, newspaper.
She did lose the top. She was made redundant, and I do believe they took the top off. And then the strange, quirky bit of history comes in as they put what they called the American mill on top, which was a lattice work, a steel-framed lattice work mill. And it stood on a 40-foot tower on top of this tower. And then that blew over. It's on the back of the date there, but somebody scribbled over it. I can't remember what the exact date is, but check on the back of the door. And that blew over, and then she was left for a while. And then they rebuilt it as it was. Put all it back together again.
And who does it belong to now?
The Crown Estates. That's their responsibility for looking after the Grade 2 star list. A nice appearance.
Is that the phrase that's used? Is it? A nice appearance.
It isn't mine. I was just trying to think of the proper word for the structural integrity of the building has to be maintained as well.
And people can't normally get into it and look round. It's open to the public.
No, it's not open to the public at all. It would be one day a year, which would be in May on National Mills Day.
Yes.
I don't know who comes down to open it to give the public access, but from what you've seen inside, it's not really suitable for people clumping all the way to the top, because one or two loose boards up there. It wouldn't take much work to actually make it perfectly openable to the public on a regular basis, but again, it relies upon somebody actually turning up to actually open it, stand guard and look after the public while they're looking around it.
And is there any significance in the fact that it's immediately opposite Cerne Mill? There's no connection between the two, is there?
They're
do the
very,
same.
very similar construction. They both run on spherical wheels on the curb. There's no safeguard, so they can both easily lose the cap if they got back. They usually have under-rigging wheels run with the cap, so that if it started to go with the wind, they underhook. There's nothing on these.
Yeah.
So literally, if it took off, it would just topple off the top. They're exactly the same design. But the reason they're both here is basically because this one drained all of this marsh, that one drained all of the marsh around there. It's just the location.
Right, you don't know that they were built by the same person or anything like that?
Again, I don't know the history of the White Mill there either. They're probably built by Ludham in England. Ludham again, because he did do a lot of work around here.
Yeah.
Prolific mill, right? I don't know how he found the time. Most of the ones I've worked on so far were built by him.
When you finish this mill, which will you do next?
After this one, if I'm still in business, it's really demoralising painting a windmill I've done, will be the one at Turf Fen, the little mill across the river at How Hill, Turf Fen, drainage mill. That's going to be some renovation, repair work and painting.
Do you know when you'll be there? Tell us when you'll be there.
No idea, it'll be sometime after I finish this one.
Okay, that's
We're
fine.
slotting in all sorts. Richard's still finishing the cap for St Olives, and then when he's finished that I shall be leaving here and going help him put the cap back on St Olives and the sails back on, and then come back, finish the painting on here, and then start on Turf Fen, so
And which
as long
did
as we
you
try
do?
and get it done in the summer.
Which one did you do before this?
Before this was majoritively St Olives. Before that we've done Ash Tree, the end, Ash Tree Farm drainage mill at the end of the Acle Strait, Benets land there. That one's being renovated. So all it basically is at the moment is just the brick tower with the curb on top, because we've taken the cap away, the sails away, all the internal gear is gone. That's all over at Richard's to be engineered. A new wind shaft is being cast for it. So we've got that running in parallel. We've done clay rack mill at How Hill. Took the sails off of that because they were on their way out. And I've also painted Hobbs Mill at Horning, which is a wonderfully remote little trestle mill with just a cap on top and a fantail. It's got no sails, it's got no vertical drive shaft or scoop wheel, but all the brick base etc. has been redone, and it's the original trestle. Again, I think that's England's again. And I had the wonderful job of wood tarring that one.
So it's a very lonely job, isn't it?
It can
in
be,
all
yeah.
weathers.
And all weathers in the middle of nowhere, yeah.
Do you work right through the winter?
Well, this is only joined up with Richard last summer. Other than that, I've been working offshore for the last 12 years. But we kept bumbling through the winter with various bits and pieces that we could get on with the good weather providing. But there's not much coming up this winter because Richard works in his workshop solo. So I might clear off and do the odd offshore job to keep me going through the winter again.
And where do you live?
I live in Galston.
Right.
Travel miles to do this one,
Yeah.
20 miles to come and do this one. I pass Richard on the way going to St Olives every morning. So I don't think he likes painting. So we'll let him get on with St Olives.
Now tell us about the new mill that's at South Walsham that's being built.
Richard's new mill, that's a traditional post mill, but on a size slightly bigger than anything I've ever seen before, because I'm also related to Nick Pryor at Thrigby, who rebuilt his post mill. 1983 he put the main post up, but it was only last July that we actually got around to finally putting the sails on it. But Richard's post mill is enormous, and it's like a work of art. You go inside and it's all, everything's beeswaxed and polished, and it's amazing.
And
he's-
will it work? Will it have sails on and work?
it's gonna work. He's putting twin sets of stones in it, all the gear in it, full sails with pattern sails with the bays, the slats, the striking gear. He's going to have a twin fantail stage on it because he doesn't do anything by halves.
And we can see this from Ludham, of course.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
just the white cap just
Yeah.
over there, but it hasn't got the sails on yet, and it hasn't got the steps or the fantail staging yet. But he's a busy man. It takes years to do these things.
Do you see any unusual wildlife when you're out here on the marshes by
Well,
yourself?
strangely enough, just about an hour ago I saw an otter come hopping out of the dike there, scuffled across the grass, popped its way down the pathway and then dropped into the dike over there. It was about the size of a dog, about the size of a Labrador. Enormous thing.
They're coming back. There's quite a few around,
Yeah.
aren't there, Mary? Yes, we see. What about a bittern? Have you ever seen or heard a bittern?
No, I haven't been out the marshes that long. Eric Edwards is the man you want to speak to about wildlife, but I should say Eric Edwards MBE.
Yes, he lives in Ludham, yes. We've had him.
He's a character, he is. The hideous modern electrical distribution and control system for the turbine pump.
Yeah?
I'm surprised they were allowed to put it in, but I suppose when it did go in here, windmills, I suppose, at that time were just seen as redundant carbuncles on the marshes, whereas now they're all seen as marsh ornaments for the visitors.
Yes.
But normally that would have been done, well, if they put the step-down transformer substation next door, you'd have thought they'd have housed this in a shed next to it or something,
Yeah.
but it all ended up in here. It's not a problem, but in fact we're gifted to actually have electricity in a mill on site for a change.
Yes.
Normally we've got no water, no electric or anything, and everything we do, like a pressure washing for this, has to have suction capability so you can suck it straight out of
Yeah.
the dike, etc., because there's no water and no electric. Everything has to be self-contained.
Show us the back of the door.
To the back of the door. Yeah, I suppose really, technically, I should put on here when I painted,
Yes.
when Richard did the cap, etc. But
Yes.
we're not allowed to anymore because
Oh.
it's history. I don't know how
Graffiti.
old this door is, but it's getting on a bit.
You can't stick a bit of paper down the back of somewhere and then
You've got-
actually say that.
Well, no. Well, it would be handy. I don't know who keeps a record of when things were done to these mills. I don't know if the Windmill Trust keeps a record now. You've got a little bit of Morse code here from a visiting American soldier in World War II. He's put the date 11/6/46 as after. Well, I've deciphered it at home because we're in telecommunications.
I can read
I
Morse.
know. You can?
Yeah.
It's a little bit garbled.
It says the first letter is A, well, it depends where the spaces are. It goes A and da did it D and da di da da.
Gant or something. It's basically just signing.
Andy, it's A-N-D-Y.
It's Andy, yes. Da da dit must be the next one. W.
Yeah, there is a W in there. But it gets a bit vague
A.
towards these edges here, so I was
Di da da.
interpolating different letters for them as
J.
well.
J.
J?
You can't read
No,
read
some
it
of them
clearly
are a little
enough.
bit-
Yeah. Oh, what's that?
Me.
All right.
I'm blind.
Sorry.
But the interesting little scribble on here, that's just passing graffiti basically, but he cleverly did it in Morse. Where's the bit about the American Tower fell over? Severe gale, November 29th, and somebody put 1933, but we're not sure. I don't think that's right. Richard says somebody scribbled over it because the 9's been gone over and the 9's been gone over.
Yeah.
But that's for all intents and purposes. It says 1933. It says, what is it? This blew the American over, and that's reference to when it had the American,
top on
steel
it.
lattice mill on top of this tower. So I don't think it was 1933. I think possibly 1833 or somewhere between there. But then once that fell over, etc., she was made redundant and then rebuilt to start pumping again. And then I think the steam took over, then the electric took over, and obviously she's completely redundant now.
Do you have bats and owls and things in here quite often?
The owls tend to hang around up the top underneath the fantail stage because you often find their pellets, etc.
Yeah.
Other than that, in this one, there's not much life at all, apart from it was infested with rats.
Yeah.
I've seen one rat since I've been here outside. I've seen none inside. I think they've had a very good session of poisoning, etc., to try and get rid of them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm just going to put this in there. go first.
Ooh, I'm alright.
Just have wooden cogs onto metal cogs, so you don't get a spark. Yeah.
So you don't get sparks. Yeah. But also, wood was easier and cheaper to work with. It also depends on the age of them. And it also gives you a fuse point. If something jams somewhere,
Yeah.
it'll just strip the steel, the wooden teeth off. Rather than steel against steel, it'll just go until something else shatters, breaks or fractures.
Yeah.
So in effect, it's like a weak link. You can see the spherical balls it runs on the curve. This is like cannonball with
Yeah.
a peg stuck through it.
Yeah.
And then they run in this very peculiar, these curves, the same as the white lady across the road, across the river. They're just a dished cast iron curve.
It's called the White Lady, is it?
I think that's what they call the one up there.
And this one's called Jenny.
Just Jenny.
Do you know why?
No idea.
Everybody says, well, I don't know what that one's called.
No, a lot of them ended up with names either after the last miller who was resident in it, so it'll be called like Smith's Mill or something because he happened to be the last tenant or the last owner.
Yeah.
Or colloquially the locals had a sort of a favourite name for it, if you like, and it stuck. I think they should have their little local names rather than it's Benet's level of drainage mill, so
Yes, it's very boring.
sort of official and dead.
And we've got records of mills that are missing from Ludham as well. There was another one at Ludham Bridge, for example, called Benets.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very wise way of doing it.
That's it now.
Right. Now, if you look at the health and safety, etc., I can't see them ever opening.
No,
the-
no. Well, can you imagine
Well,
people
you'd
wanting
have
to
have
come
double
up here?
handrails,
Yes.
doesn't
Well, you'd
have
spoil
any
it.
holes there.
Yes.
They probably want disabled access, you'd probably have to have an elevator coming
Yeah,
up and a ramp going to the bottom of it. But,
Yes.
it all gets out of hand and gets beyond the joke when these were built. You know, it was people had their own common sense, etc. Watch out for
sorry.
the holes. Mind your step, etc. But nowadays it would all have to be fenced off, guarded off.
Do you want
It's
to
much
come
like
round
the old
this way?
farming industry.
Yeah.
They didn't have guards, etc. Machinery. Until one day somebody got pulled into it and it all takes off from there.
So is that the new one? What's that one there? The white
That's
there.
Richard's one at South.
Yeah,
Waltham.
South Walsham, that's the one. Yeah, I thought it was. We're just further round, aren't we?
The white cap on it. Post mills are more interesting than drainage mills. The fact that, well, I think the original form followed the wind, obviously before they had brick towers, etc. All they had was wood. Open trestles, buried the cross trees in the ground, and then they raised them up high, put them on piers. It was a fantastic evolutionary history of windmills. I've got my own theory that windmills are as old as sailing boats.
Yes.
Sails on a boat, putting windmills. The technology is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Even today, when you look at sailing boats go past, they're supposed to rise up on the side of the curve, and then go
Does it?
down again, and then you go up, and you don't have to be on my bend driven from one particular worm view.
And yours stuck at the top of it.
That's it.
Do you tend to do it like that?
Yeah, there was no choice to rotate it from actually standing here. I can operate the bridge.
Fantastic.
Isn't it?
I'm so glad we came on it.
No, I finished my dinner. I knew you were coming this time.
You saw us, did you?
Saw it.
No, I didn't.